That's all the media and the politicians are ever talking about, the things that separate us. Race, religion, ethnic and national background, jobs, income, education, social status, sexuality. Anything they can do, keep us fighting with each other so that they can keep going to the bank.
People are going to be doing what they always do when the economy tanks. They will be blaming immigrants and corporate.
This country has proven resilient based on the fact that its foundation is the age of reason.
America is just now coming to grips with what unfolded here in the early morning hours here in Orlando.
In this city, thousands of demonstrators marched to protest the death of Eric Garner.
Breaking news, a fresh act of madness. The snipers hit 11 police officers.
Gun sales in this country are spiking in the aftermath of the San Bernardino terror attack.
We're bringing it on ourselves. And that's the thing. Al-Qaeda, all those guys, ISIS, they're not compared to the damage that we can do to ourselves on a regular basis.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 44 of the Age of Reason podcast, where we are not for the faint of thought. Now, as we begin our shows now, we want to start with a ritual, so we're going to move into Skeptic Sunday School. So ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, bow your heads and let us think. Today, we're going to be talking about creationism and some about Genesis, being the Jewish and Christian thought on how their opinions on how the earth got here. And, what? Just to put some things in perspective, the earth has to be 6,000 years old in order, or we'll give them this, right? 6 to 12. Right? 6 to 12,000.
Yeah.
We can afford to give them an extra 6 years, whatever.
When you're talking about the actual, billions, I guess 6 to 12 years.
Yeah, exactly. So in actuality, the Earth is around 14.5 billion years old, but we'll give them 6 to 12,000. So, assuming it's 6 to 12,000 years old, now God created the heavens and earth and on the first day, and then said, let there be light. And then there was light. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it was day 4 that he said he was going to put a vault in the sky to separate day from night. And that's the sun, correct?
That is correct. But, the Christians will tell you it's a biblical day. So even though that you shouldn't have any days without the sun, that's pretty much how we get our days. God can do it because he's God. Well,
of course he can. But, I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, it's not just science that says that time is relative. We view our days in a 24-hour period, but days are a completely relative idea. Days, weeks, months, years, millennia, whatever. We invented that, and even there's even a religion that that takes that into account. The Egyptian mythology. I believe it was Horus, who was the god of light, would fight Set every day, and Set would win the battles at night and lose the battles in the morning. They would fight twice a day, and this was the mythology that they have. And if you don't believe me, look it up. And this is why we call things sunsets. This is where it comes from. The sun god, the god of light, Horus, who, by the way, existed 3,500 years before Jesus did, who also had 12 disciples, was born of a virgin birth, died and resurrected, had 12 followers, was betrayed. Exact same thing on paper. You can't tell the difference between Horus and Jesus, and he existed 3,500 years before Jesus did. But anyway, that was one of the stories that they kind of take into account, that days are a relative deal, and this is what happens. Horus fights Set, whatever. But one thing that we do need to point out here is,
that is a lot. That is a lot cooler than Jesus just saying. Than God.
They're
just
not
saying,
turn the other cheek, man. They had war gods and shit. Yeah, they were much more entertaining.
Those explanations, or at least you can wrap your head around them. Like, okay, obviously,
I see where you went
no
there.
Scientific value. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I see how you guys thought that, because they were great astronomers. Once again, I haven't. God, we haven't talked about this since, I don't know, like maybe the first 5 episodes. But Jesus is the Son, and the entire Christianity, Catholicism, Greek and Egyptian mythology, all that stuff, it's all part of the Zodiac. Every bit of it. All of it is part of the Zodiac. But we'll save that for a different Sunday school. That'd be a good overall topic to bring up. But anyway, one thing that we need to accept with Genesis is that at one point it was the Flintstones. We would have had to have been on this earth with dinosaurs, which most people should know that's not true. We never walked the earth with dinosaurs. Right?
Well, yeah, yeah, I mean, we're millions of years separation, but we talked about it before. Some people will say that dinosaurs were their fossils were just put there by God to test people's faith.
Right. Because he's a thinker. He came up with everything. He made it absolutely impossible for people to believe in him, and yet hell is the only justice people like you and I will see, because we looked at it and said, no, that ain't right.
So far for Sunday school, we've covered 3 of the 4 main concepts of Genesis.
Right.
We got Noah's Ark, we got Adam and Eve, and the creation story.
And Sodom and Gomorrah, yeah.
Sodom and Gomorrah, yeah, that one's a little different. But so far, I think basically we're getting.
You mean so far today?
Genesis.
Gotcha.
Yeah. We're hitting that one.
Well, something we should bring up while we're on Genesis is the hatred for women, that came out of the story of Adam and Eve, right? I mean, the women out there, those of you who know people, or maybe you still believe in Jesus and God and all that, and that's fine. Everybody's got their own journey, but just understand, the reason why you will never be Pope, if you're Catholic or whatever. The reason why you guys are treated so badly is because you guys are blamed for evil. Evil. You guys are blamed for evil, and painful childbirth is the punishment that God put on you because you are so evil. And not only were you evil, you tempted man into being evil. Now, let's focus on that here for a quick second. Adam was not evil. Adam was just tempted by the evil witch that is woman. I mean, he gave up his rib for her, and this is how she repays him. It's completely ridiculous. Fucking women.
Yeah, story of my life. It's always the woman's fault.
Anyway, so I mean that's something to take away from Genesis as well, is a lot of hatred towards women. It is just embedded in modern day religions.
Yeah, I mean, basically, second-class citizens, and while some religions are just now allowing them to be part of the clergy, most religions wouldn't even think about that.
No.
So, yeah.
You're still property.
And that's 50% of our population. Actually, 55% or something.
Yes, and driving will ruin your uterus. So, according to the very scientific explanations from people in the Middle East.
Yes.
Anyway, so that concludes Skeptic Sunday School. So moving on, Alex, we got a listener question, right?
Yes, a question that's from Hector, and it was out of Donald Trump versus Pence. Who would you, if you had to vote for one of the two, Trump or Pence, who would you vote for?
Pence.
I feel like surprised. I'd probably go with the third party vote if it were the two, if those were the
but
the
not.
two candidates.
It's not between the two, not between the third party.
Well, I think between the two, I think I would abstain to vote. Just
that's not given as an option, Alex. Answer Hector's question.
Well, I think you. It's the problem is No, the problem is, right, is, we talked about this when it was Ted Cruz versus Trump,
Yeah.
obviously from the beginning, is, what Ted Cruz is, and that's pretty evil in itself.
Right.
And that's like political evil where they have no problem, coming out and saying we're going to get rid of women's right to choose or gay marriage.
Punish masturbation.
I mean, come on, man.
That was a Ted Cruz
That's
stance.
that's an issue that hits home to me.
Well, here's the way I look at Mike Pence versus Donald Trump is Pence is going to be more on the extreme than previous religious leaders that we had. George Bush was very religious, and look at everything he fucked up. With this, I understand that Pence is going to be a 5 on the scale of 1 to 5 if Bush was a 3 on shoving religion down our throat. Totally understand that, but I'm all about living to fight another day, and I just don't see it with Trump. I see a much larger possibility of nuclear war with Donald Trump and every other Republican that we've had. This is not a compliment to them at all. This is more of a stab at Trump. But every other Republican that we've had has been for trickle-down economics and for securing the billionaires of the world. But even they understand there's got to be some sort of limit to it. You got to at least come off like you mean something to the middle class, or they mean something to you. Donald Trump has said fuck all that. So I think Donald Trump is I would vote for Mike Pence. Had to vote between the two.
If I had to vote, I think I would vote for Trump, honestly.
You're just because, a glutton for mystery.
No, I mean, to me,
like him keeping you in suspense.
It's no, like I said, you know what this guy's about, and you saw when he was the head of his state,
right?
As the head of the nation. I just couldn't imagine the stuff that they could bring on. The second part of the question is there a Republican that you like?
I'm going to sound terrible. I feel like I should lie here, but I'm not going to. No, there is not a Republican I like. Here's why. You judge your politicians on two different things. One is their economic stance, and the other one is their social stance. And I'm not going to talk about, like I did with Trump and Pence. We can leave foreign policy and stuff aside for this one. But foreign policy aside, when it comes to economics, trickle down does not work. We know this. We know it doesn't work. I had a huge conversation with my father earlier about how Reagan was so great when it came to the economy, and it just can't. And he's like, you weren't even alive. I'm like, yeah, but the truth comes out years after they leave, and I still read. But with economics, trickle down does not work. I do not agree with making life easier on the people that have it the easiest, being the ones that are financially at the top. You need to spread the middle class. That does not mean entitlements for everybody and all that, but when we stop giving them entitlements, I'll worry about poor people entitlements. And when it comes to social, their social policies, they're very, as we're talking about with Pence and even Trump. Trump is just pretending to be religious. The man doesn't know shit about religion. He's pretending to be religious just to fit the moral stances of the Republican Party. So they're not going to do anything for me economically, and they're not for you. And by you, I mean 90% of the population that doesn't even make $250,000 a year. They're not for you there, and they're not for equality of any kind. They are for pushing the straight white male to further and further heights. So, no, I would not vote for any Republican other than Hillary Clinton. I got my ballot in the mail. So I guess, if you count Hillary Clinton as a Republican, I'm voting for her, but that's because I don't, we already talked about it with Donald Trump.
I like that one.
And the first one, the first question is, Trump or Pence. Now, when I say I'm voting for the Republican of Hillary Clinton, it's not between the two of them. It is the two of them if it's not Hillary. So, yes, I will vote Republican this year for Hillary Clinton.
The last Republican that I liked was John McCain before he ran against Obama.
Sure.
Once he ran against Obama, he changed. A lot of the things that I liked about him, his integrity and stuff, I think he sacrificed in that campaign. But before that, he was always somebody who I definitely respected as a lawmaker. As far as how he got things done and stuff, and trickle down is the main theory of the Republicans, but true conservatives, I can respect their thoughts on the economy and balancing budgets and stuff like that. I think that's important. I think obviously it's important to have good social programs and things like that as well. But with taxes and things, you want to have a balanced budget. So the actual fiscal conservatives, I think like I said, I appreciate what they bring to the table. Right. Yeah, I appreciate what they bring to the table. Obviously, socially, me and a Republican would never see eye to eye.
Including John McCain, even prior, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but this takes nothing against him as a person. I mean, I was very offended when Trump said he wasn't a war hero because he was captured. That's a stab at somebody you should never take. And John McCain deserves every bit of respect that he's received for that. For what he went through. But yeah, it's just get him like I said, it's time to die, Grandma and Grandpa. You guys got to go. You're holding us back. Anyway, we got some news coming up. Alex, what do you got for your news?
Okay, so first thing, I watched a video. It's actually an ISIS recruiting video. It shows a man he's playing a guessing game, right? And he guesses, he picks a hand, I guess it's like pick a hand. He picks the hand that reveals the white stone. And you see him celebrating, all happy and everything. And then the next thing you see is a truck driving into and blowing itself up into a group of people. So it cannot be confirmed that he was the actual driver, but the video definitely makes it apparent that he's celebrating his selection to be the next suicide bomber. So I mean, this it's not funny when you see him celebrating. It looks a little funny, but
did you seriously just look at this guy?
Yeah.
Like, did you just look at him? And what I saw, if I didn't know better, if I didn't know the context of this video, I just saw a guy that was truly, truly happy and looks like a normal person, and normal in any way that a normal male his age, he probably looks to be in his early 20s, early mid 20s, is excited about something. And Hitchens, religion makes perfectly normal and good, decent people do terrible, terrible things. That's what I was hearing in my head when I was watching this, because I'm like, this guy, you could fuck. I can't even finish my sentence. It's sad.
Yeah, it brought me. It's funny. It made me think of Hitchens as well, but a little bit different. Where he said they love death as much as we love life.
Yes.
And you see it. I mean, break it down. He's celebrating his death. His imminent death. There's no way around it. If he executes what he's supposed to, even if he messes up, his chances are his life is his life is over. So it's just when you see him celebrating, it's like eerie, like wow.
Right. People, not to get into the death penalty thing, but there are people out there that people have to die at some point. And I don't mean have to through judgment and shit like that, but through war, through defending yourself, whatever. You should never, ever. That's not happiness and excitement is not the fucking emotion that you should ever get for something like that, especially when you know you're about to go do it. somebody goes in and robs a liquor store to feed their family because that's what they feel is their only option left. It's one thing to commit that crime, but it's another to be truly happy that you do anything unfortunate to somebody else. You're right. It was a really eerie video to watch, but fucking really.
So I got another video here, and this one is not as eerie.
No, this one's hilarious.
Yeah, and it's pretty funny. So a man records himself. He's singing Christian music, and in the rain, and all of a sudden you hear
my luggage. No, you didn't hear that. It wasn't Ben Carson.
But apparently he let Jesus take the wheel, and Jesus drove him off an embankment. The car rolled. I mean, it appeared to actually be a pretty crazy accident. Luckily, he landed right side up and was he wasn't hurt.
Yeah, he was uninjured, and his car was drivable apparently. So God was looking after something, I guess. We should find out the make and model. I bet you his car had a Jesus fish. I'll make that bet.
I mean, it rolled like a fish.
Well, flopped, yeah. Well, he flopped like a fish. That was. I love the expression on his face when he realizes that this thing is still being recorded, and he reaches over to turn it off. But a while back, I think maybe like 3 months ago, we talked about how a woman. I can't remember what happened to her, but she got into some sort of car accident. Oh, she drove through a house because she was praying behind the wheel.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't know how many times I got to tell these people that Jesus did not have a driver's license. We shouldn't be giving him the controls to any type of machinery. God damn it.
Awesome. Yeah, that was. If you need to, a little quick laugh.
We'll put it on the page. We'll put both of these videos up on the page.
Okay, so next thing is a little more depressing. AT&T, your phone service, has agreed to buy Time Warner cable, which includes CNN, Turner Broadcasting, HBO, for $85.4 billion. The sale still needs to be approved. From what I've read, there's like a 50-50 chance it might not be approved. But I keep bringing these up when I see these major mergers because it's just insane. I mean, $85.4 billion is just insane amount, and it's just impossible for anybody, any small contender, to pop up when you have all these large companies just devouring each other.
Yeah, I think there needs to be some, and this is my socialist side, I guess. There needs to be a rule of some kind about different companies, or I should say different industries merging into one company, because they also own the distribution rights and stuff like that, and they're not the only ones. I mean, just recently Comcast bought CBS Universal, and Verizon has bought the Huffington Post and Yahoo. Now, I haven't seen anything crazy come out of these two companies as a result of this, but you're right. It makes it very difficult for other people to compete. And what's far worse than this is, this is what I just find contradictory. It is Republican fiscal policies that allow these types of things to happen. They are the ones that will fight against any type of law to prohibit this type of thing. But who is it that's always telling us that competition is what makes prices go down and what boosts the economy? Who is that? Oh yeah, every fucking Republican when it comes to the economy. It's completely contradicting. If somebody were to put that type of law forward, like if Sanders and Warren were to get together and say, look, we got to stop all companies, not just banks, from being too powerful. If you are a media outlet, you cannot own distribution, or you cannot. If you're a cell phone provider, you cannot own, by the way, AT&T also owns DirecTV. You cannot own cable television. You guys need to keep things separate. It would be the Republicans that first come out to say, fuck no, you guys are not going to do this. Yet, we need more competition. It's such a blatant lie. I just find it comical.
Yeah, I hearing Bernie Sanders saying, Teddy Roosevelt, a good Republican, would have said break them up, and basically that's kind of my
what we do. Break them up. Yes, exactly. That's what needs to happen.
You can't. It's amazing, and like you said, those two other major companies. When I was looking, it was saying Comcast might try to buy, Sprint or something. It's just like, it's amazing.
It's too much.
Fuck.
And competition's bad because Sprint's using the same fucking "Can you hear me now" guy from Verizon. Actors can't even get a fucking job anymore. Ridiculous.
Oh man. So, okay, next one. Back in your old state.
I'm missing
Washington.
my old state, man. I'm missing that place. They're doing some really progressive things over there.
Yeah, but I think you're pretty lucky. You live, I guess, the trifecta there. California, Washington, and Colorado. The three of those have some, pretty good things going.
Everything Arizona didn't.
Yeah, there you go. That cancels out that one. But yeah, so as many as 2,000 teachers wore Black Lives Matter shirts and protested the inequality of the school systems over in Seattle. And it's 2/3 of the teachers. So that, huge amount.
Right.
The teachers union backed it and said, they were all for it. So I thought that was pretty cool as well. And they're just trying to, bring attention to basically, if you live in certain areas and typically, these areas are dominated by minorities, certain schools just don't get the resources that other ones do. And you keep, the class kind of warfare stays in effect. So I thought it was cool that, these teachers protested and, I'm glad we gave them a little bit of attention.
Yeah, so. Exactly. And the ratio of children who get poor education that end up spending time incarcerated, it's massive. I mean, it's there is a statistic from a while back that said something to the extent of, we already talked last week. If you're black, you have a 1 in 3 chance that you're going to spend time incarcerated. If you do not go to preschool or do not finish college, your odds of serving of being incarcerated, I want to say they're not a third. I do want to say it's about a quarter though, but don't quote me on that. I'm just I'll post the statistics on the page that show the correlation between how much schooling you get compared to what your odds of then spending time incarcerated are. The stats are are pretty staggering.
Okay, so next thing I got here is Obama did something a little unprecedented. He endorsed over 130 candidates from members of the House, all the way down to state legislators or state senators. He endorsed locally for me Michael Eggman, who's my wife's volunteered for. A lot of the people that I've worked with, Bernie. They've done a lot of work for him locally, so go Eggman. He's going against Jeff Denham.
The puppet guy?
You would think. Speaking of the puppet guy, we'll have to talk about the puppet later.
Yeah, we'll talk about the puppet.
Yeah, so it's the radio ads over here with Eggman and Denham are pretty. Just telling of this election. It's Michael Eggman is weak. He supported the Iran deal, blah blah blah. He's terrorists, giving them billions of dollars, and then
just pander to people that don't have information. Jesus Christ!
It's funny because it's a lady saying it, and she's got this accusing tone. Michael Eggman, blah blah, and then when she starts to talk about Jeff Denham, she gets all rosy and she's like, Jeff Denham has, just like her shift, just from like basically saying like this guy's gonna take you to hell, he's evil, and then over here we have an angel.
Don't try to compete with the Democrats. We got Elizabeth Warren. You don't want to bring on the scolding mother tone. We got that shit covered. I'll tell you what Obama was doing yesterday. He was preventing me from flying out of Burbank Airport. So I was in Southern California for about half a week. And then I found out that we couldn't fly off and we were delayed like 15 minutes because Obama showed up. I don't know what the hell he was doing over there, but my wife thought it was cool. And, like, I was fine. I was, like, looking out the window like, damn it, he's on the other side of the plane. Fuck. So I couldn't see him. But Lindsay puts a thing on Facebook and says, we're delayed about 10 or 15 minutes because Obama just showed up at Burbank. And my mother-in-law gets on the thing. She's like, oh, wow, really? Lucky you. Not. And I'm, the goddamn fucking woman, son of a bitch. She put this thing out about our choices this year. And Lindsay actually wrote her a pretty good post. She said, why don't you and others in your generation just shut up and stay home while my generation cleans up your mess? Oh, it was awesome. I was so proud. Anyway, I'm sorry. Moving on.
Nice. So moving on, my last bit here. So last week, Paul Ryan, he didn't mention Donald Trump. He was at a Republican kind of a rally. He never mentioned Donald Trump by name, but he did say, try to scare everybody into saying if the Republicans lose the Senate, the liberal progressive agenda is going to have Mr. Bernie Sanders as the chair Senate Budget Committee.
Who?
You know, that guy that got
that really
12
old guy?
million votes. You know, yeah.
Oh,
so,
the guy that hates everything that Paul Ryan, Donald Trump, and that whole fucking party stands for might be in charge of their money? Ooh, shit. And tax dollars? You mean to tell me that we may actually get education and healthcare reform passed? Holy fuck.
So Bernie caught wind of this, those remarks, and he sent a tweet out to Paul Ryan, actually to all of his followers, saying, hey, Paul Ryan thinks, that this is what's going to happen. Let's make him pay for it, basically. And people paid. 500,000 donors donated $2.4 million in 3 days to Senate Democrats. So I mean, he's got his hand on the button.
Let's not forget what he did last week. He made I forget the name of that insurance company lose $400 million in a day off a tweet. Bernie, yeah, he's got his finger on the button of the young people, and young people need to understand how much of the majority the millennials actually are and start doing something about it. But that's not the only fight that's going on in Washington right now. So Joe Biden, he was being interviewed, and he says this about Trump. He says what Trump does is a textbook definition of sexual assault. What he says and does is a textbook definition of assault. And he says because he's quoting Trump, and he says because I'm famous, because I'm a star, because I'm a billionaire, I can do these things and other people cannot. What a disgusting assertion to make. And then Biden says, the press always asks me, don't I wish I was debating him? No, I wish we were in high school and I could take him out behind the gym. I would pay for this. I think, honestly, George Carlin has that idea about putting public executions on TV and charging people to watch it and then balancing the fucking budget. I think enough people would... fuck Pacquiao versus Mayweather. This would be huge. I would so watch Joe Biden rip the shit out of that fucking pumpkin. Ugh,
yeah, I mean, looking back the way that things ended, I kind of do wish Joe Biden would have ran. It is interesting to see his passion. He's gave a couple passionate speeches about Trump, and I think an old man fight would be pretty interesting. My immediate reference goes back to Happy Gilmore and The Price is Wrong, Bobby. Remember?
We can call it the geriatric and the geriatric gymnastics 2016 election. It would be fucking great. They can do like the old gladiator shit where they each stand on one of those platforms and like hit each other with the shit and try to run the obstacle course and then fight to the death at the end. That'd be awesome. Moving on, cultural anthropologist Dr. McGee at the Texas State University caused a walkout when he told his students about the out of Africa theory. So, for those of you that are unaware of the out of Africa theory, what it really is about is Scientific Eve. Scientific Eve is a female who we don't demonize because we're not religious. But she is known as most likely to be the very first mother to give birth to the human race on this planet, and she's out of Africa. What science has been able to do through DNA is show the migration of humans out of Africa, and actually justify the way our eyes and noses are shaped. How we have racial features, why we have different skin colors. How when this was going on, a lot parts of the earth were frozen, lakes and waterways were frozen, which allowed humans to get to certain parts of North America and certain parts of Asia, that whole thing. National Geographic did a story on it a while back, a documentary. Pretty interesting. Anyway, so Dr. McGee at the Texas State University decides to tell his class this, and several white students walk out, and other white students stay behind and decide to argue with it. Now, one of the things that McGee said before he gave this piece of information and started talking about what the out of Africa theory is, he brought up Black Lives Matter. Now, there's no transcript. It does say, and students say that he said several times, I'm not taking a stance on this issue. I'm just telling you that all lives are black lives because we all are descendants from Africa. And these students walked out. What do you think of this?
I think it's amazing that you have, this is a Institute for Higher Learning, right? This is a
right.
college. This is not a high school, or these people have some kind of investment in their education, and the fact that they can't accept facts, it just shows where we're at right now as a country. That's just what you do. If you don't like what you hear, oh fuck it, I'm just gonna cover my ears.
Yeah.
I don't have to listen to you. And like I said, that's one of the biggest problems we have is people are presented. This is a teacher presenting information and say, oh no, I don't like that information. I'm gonna walk out of class.
Yeah, I think two things about it. One is you need to be able to handle conflicting evidence towards your beliefs. You got to be able to handle it. And number two is, if you can't because you're religious, go to preschool. Stay the fuck out of the science class. You're holding us back. Go hang out with grandma and grandpa. Just hurry up. Get the fuck out of here. You're slowing us down. So after that, speaking of slowing us down or taking us back to what Donald Trump and other people view in the Republican Party view as the good old days, Kansas State House Leader Peggy Mast tweets as she calls a profound quote from Hitler. She says, "Great quote from Hitler in the video. Please listen to it closely. His words are profound with an exclamation point. Let's start using discernment." That's her tweet. And the quote that she tweeted said from Hitler, it's kind of worded weird translated in English, so I'm going to try to read this as best as I can. Hitler said, "The receptivity of the masses is very limited. Their intelligence is small, but their power of forgetting is enormous. Their power of forgetting is enormous. In consequence of these facts, all effective propaganda must be limited to very few points and must harp on these we must harp on these points in slogans until the last member of the public understands what you want him to understand by your slogan." So basically, the masses are stupid. They can't take in high amounts of complicated or even high amounts of small information. So we need to dumb it down to slogans and repeat it over and over again until the stupidest person that you're speaking to understands what you're talking about. How familiar does this sound?
Yeah, when you told me this story the first time, I was like shocked. Like, there's no way this
In
lady.
2016.
I guess, now thinking about it, maybe just maybe I'll give her a little bit of benefit and say that she was, trying to say, look, this is what's happening to us. We need to, break the cycle.
Nope.
But no.
Nope. Basically, what she's saying is let's use this for marketing campaign strategy, because look what this guy was able to do with it by using this strategy. He averaged nearly a genocide. I mean, if he can do that, we can get these people elected. It's just, and look, not to take anything away from Adolf Hitler. You don't have to take anything away from him aside from what everybody already knows. He was an evil man. Does that mean he was stupid? No, he was actually one of the better speakers of the century. So, I mean, you can say those things, but it's probably not a good idea to say he was able to achieve this with this marketing strategy. We should use this marketing strategy. Probably not the best idea. Like, I don't want to take recipes out of Hitler's cookbook for obvious reasons, right?
I mean, especially one that basically says you people are stupid.
Yeah, that too. But remember, the modern day Hitler loves the uneducated. That's what it reminds me of. Repeat the slogan over and over again until people know what it means. Make America great again. And that means whatever it means to them. And we'll get into Trump a little bit later as we get into our debate discussion. But so yeah, that happened. After that, we have a study from Georgetown Law School Center. They published a study last week that shows half of American adults have their faces in facial recognition software in their police departments and their police department databases. And this is basically due to the facial recognition technology push over just the last few years. So in just the last few years that they've been pushing this technology, they already have half of the American adult population registered in there. A quarter of the police departments are already allowed to access your DMV photos, and this is already coming up, and it's already in 26 states, and only the state of Ohio so far, the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigations, has basically banned police from using this technology to monitor things that infringe on free speech, like protesting, religious beliefs, that sort of thing, because this is being used during protests. This was used during the protests for Freddie Gray. The police are using facial recognition software to either look and see if any of these people have warrants, but to also find out who they are, reference their Facebook posts, that sort of thing. And a lot of people don't talk about this, but we are actually guaranteed the right of anonymity in our First Amendment when we do protests. We should not have to identify who we are if we have not broken a law and we are protesting, and this completely takes that away.
Yeah, this is just, I mean, that's scary to think. Half of the people, the adult population, it's, there's always the battle between security and freedoms. And, that's something it's an ongoing conversation. But, I think me and you both agree that, we typically side on the freedom part. And it's amazing what they're asking police officers to do nowadays. The different levels of just encroaching on our freedoms that is becoming normal.
I think what people don't understand,
it's scary.
I think what people don't get, like, it makes sense to say that there needs to be a balance between security and freedom, and it's a give and take relationship. I mean, that's been proven obvious. I would think most recently in George W. Bush's Patriot Act. I mean, if nothing was obvious to you before or after that, look at that. But I think what people aren't understanding is that the freedom that they're fighting is the freedom to not feel afraid of terrorist acts and that sort of thing. But what they don't understand is that as they increase security, they're losing their freedom anyway. So it's kind of like do I want to risk this portion of my freedom, or do I just want to give it up because I would much rather my government fuck with me than ISIS? And I think that's what it really comes down to is we're just giving that up. And there is a comfortable balance. I do agree. You should have to register, for a driver's license. I believe in census taking. I have no problem with the government knowing who I am and where I live and what cars I drive and what guns I own. I have no issue.
And
with
even
that.
as a step further, if you commit a crime, the fingerprint,
sure.
When you think about it, that's a pretty freaking crazy system in itself.
Right.
Right. I mean, basically,
can't be used for background checks universally, apparently, but it's not even being used in the way I want it to. But I also agree with the government knowing everything there is to know about you when you apply for certain positions. Totally fine with that. I get it, but there's still a choice there. You don't want the government knowing everything there is to know about you? Then you're not made for the FBI. Sorry, don't fucking apply. Certain things for my job. I had to register my fingerprints. I have to go through background checks on a regular, every few year basis. But it's people just seem to think that they're not losing freedom when they take on security, or take on more security, or welcome more security, or vote for more security. To me, that doesn't really make any sense, and I think nobody understands really what they're giving up because it doesn't affect you right away, immediately. It doesn't immediately affect you. It's this place just got shot up, or 9/11 just happened, or they just foiled this plan, and this is what these people are about to do. Holy fuck, save me at all costs. But we can beat that dead horse over and over again, but I'll end with this. Hey, more contradictions about the right wingers. So Obama, he's one of the reasons why we didn't want to elect him in 2008 to even to begin with is because government spending is going to go through a roof because that's what all Democrats and liberals do is spend through the roof. Oh, sorry, communists. That's what all communists in Kenya without a birth certificate that are black and Muslim, all of that, all the above there. That's what they'll do. They'll spend us into further and further debt. Well, Obama has done less government spending since Dwight Eisenhower. Now get this. Let's look at the Republicans. He has spent less than W, less than HW, and less than Reagan. And let's not just stop there. You know who also spent less than the two Bushes and Reagan? Clinton. Clinton spent less. Now, this was published by left-wing radicals. Actually, it wasn't. It was published by fucking Forbes magazine, another company that has nothing to do with liberals and wants nothing to do with them. But not only did Obama spend less than Dwight D. Eisenhower, Bill Clinton spent less than than the same Republicans all the way back to Reagan, including 3 Republicans. So we were talking about religious myths, political myths. Government spending goes up under Democrats. Well, not in the last 35, 40 years, they have not. We have no statistical data to back that up anymore, thanks to people that support rich people like your party, Forbes magazine.
It's too bad facts and things like this didn't work on those people, because this is exactly, otherwise this would be like a checkmate. You just take this article, bam,
it's your mic drop.
Face. I mean,
it's your Chris Rock moment.
It should be. But they will read this and say, who knows?
Well, just so we can enjoy it, here's me dropping my phone, which has a microphone. There we go. Mic fucking dropped. Eat it, bitch.
So, there was a debate last week.
Let's talk about some Satanism. Let's throw some religion in the middle of all this, and we'll go into the debate. Sound good?
Yeah, we got about 10 minutes left, so we'll make it quick.
All right. Well, let's just ask and give a few sentence explanation here. Do you believe that Satanists should be able to start after school clubs? Because they're popping up all over the country.
Yes, I obviously,
evil
with
bastard.
with the freedoms of religion, we've talked about the Satanist groups for a while,
yeah,
and different respects. But I think it's the same thing here. Basically, what they're doing is just challenging going to places where there's Christian after-school programs and public schools, and they're creating a Satanist one where they talk about logic and evidence and understanding things.
And one of their commandments is to avoid pain to yourself and pain to others at all costs. Their entire goal is to limit pain and suffering for yourself and humanity. So I think it's a good idea to point out that satanic churches, since atheism is anti-religion, it's not religion. These satanic churches and organizations are ran by atheists because we need a religion in order to compete against religion in the religious battlefield. And I mean, that's their overall deal, is to prevent pain and suffering. So I'm gonna say, yeah, I don't have a problem with satanic schools, because you know what's gonna happen. They're not gonna approve it. They're gonna do just like they did with everything else. These schools across the country are going to end their Christian school clubs.
Well, which is a win, in itself.
Of course,
and I think
that's all they're here for.
That's what they're in it for. So yeah, so that's we'll take it as a victory, and hopefully, I guess it's a pretty big deterrent. You slap them down. Okay, you want a Christian club? Okay, here comes the Satanist club. I hope that we can mobilize as atheists around the country to kind of combat that.
Yeah, and if you want to pass out Christian coloring books for Noah's Ark, here's a satanic coloring book with funny little devils in them. Pass that out to your kids. Yeah, the satanic church, I mean, I'm not saying there's no satanic church and no people out there that truly do believe in Satan. If they do, they're just as big of idiots as any other religious person is that tries to pander those types of views. In my opinion, they're worse because they pick the bad guy. But for the most part, that's not the case when it comes to the satanic church. But anyway, moving on to the final. Holy shit, it's almost over, dude. The final debate number 3 between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, which started with no handshake and was narrated by Fox News correspondent Mike Wallace. So,
who did the best job, I think.
Huh?
I think as a moderator, I think he did the best job. I'm a person.
Yeah, I don't think he did bad at all. And Mike Wallace has been around for a long time. Previous to Fox News, I think he was still an anchor. And his dad, I forget his dad's name, but I mean his dad was huge in the media back in the times of Walter Cronkite and Dan Rather and all those guys. But so we started off with no handshake, and I mean Hillary Clinton did what she did in the first debate. And Trump held his shit for about 30 minutes this time. It was the most presidential debate out of the 3, but I mean, that's a low bar to hit.
Yeah, I mean, it's a low, like you said. That's low. I mean, right. Still nothing policy-wise, nothing semi-intelligent from him that would make somebody say, "Oh wow, he really nailed it this week." I think I got to give credit to the Clinton campaign and the way that they handled all 3 of the debates, and pretty much just baited him pretty much the entire time, knowing that he can only take so much before he's got to throw his baby hands down and just start yelling. I mean, just everything from calling him Donald, just as much as he can, just Donald. I think he likes the Trump name. So I think she just did a great job of just pissing him off and throwing some of those digs in. Some of them are, they weren't the best or anything like that, but they got to him.
Well, and, yeah, when they were talking about Putin and she called him a puppet, and I'm not the puppet, you're the puppet. You're the puppet. You're the puppet.
That clip, we should have thrown it on here. That clip right there, to me, is the epitome of the entire debate right there.
Actually, I have it right here. I have it right here. Take a listen.
I don't know Putin. He said nice things about me. If we got along well, that would be good. If Russia and the United States got along well and went after ISIS, that would be good. From everything I see, has no respect for this person.
Well, that's because he'd rather have a puppet as president of the United States.
No puppet.
And it's pretty clear.
You're the puppet.
It's pretty clear you won't admit
No, you're
that
the
the
puppet.
Russians have engaged in cyber attacks against the United States of America, that you encouraged espionage against our people.
So yeah, I mean, you hear her call him a puppet, and just the way that he says, "No puppet, no puppet," you know, like it's like that's not even like an intelligible sentence. He's just like, "No puppet," and then you're the puppet.
I know you are, but what am I? I mean, it was like watching Pee Wee fucking Herman up there.
It's like I mean, I thought they were gonna have a food fight or something. You know, it's like, Jesus Christ.
And she, you know, she did a great job again, as she did in her first debate, not much in her second, of continuing to speak as he just kept talking. And that's what I was saying last episode that I was hoping she would do, is just not even acknowledge his existence, including when he says, "Such a nasty woman." Holy fuck. I mean, it's hard to watch this and go, I mean, if 1,000 years from now, somehow this country goes extinct or another planet of aliens come over here and they start watching our presidential debates, they're going to think somebody fucked with the movie collection. When they find this in there, I mean, even Obama versus Romney was such better substance. Well, obviously Obama had it, but like Romney compared to Trump, Romney was so much better. So was McCain. And by the way, tune into AORpodcast.com and go to politics and presidential debates to watch every presidential debate. There's my plug. But I mean, just to say such a nasty woman. Did he forget he just got yelled at for grabbing women, for saying he loved to grab women by the pussy? Did he forget that he's having issues with women? No, actually he did, because he said nobody respects women more than I do. Right after that.
Like, just that statement alone, somebody should just slap him. Just like, and as many adjectives as he uses in his words, it's just like, it's getting to the point where it's like, I'm really ready to stop hearing him speak, because it's just, everything's bigly and, you know, tremendous, and it's just like, Jesus Christ, just speak like a normal person.
Well, and even the stuff that he delivers, the points that he makes correctly, and by correctly I mean kind of like Bush, when he would say something that he actually meant to say, not that it was actually correct. We are where wings take dream. When Trump said that we need more business people writing laws. We already have that. As you and I talked about ALEC, the organization made up of corporations, business people, and right-wing politicians. I mean, we talked about that last week or the week before. We already have business people writing these fucking laws, and this economy and all this other bullshit, things like Wells Fargo, this is where it's getting us.
They're not the best and the brightest.
Oh, sorry. They're not the...
They're with Donald Trump right now, just waiting to come out.
Fucking best. Yeah, exactly.
But you know, the thing that you should be worried about is we have some bad hombres.
We do have some bad hombres. That's for damn sure. The man has no control over himself, and some of the things that he says. I mean, he says we have millions of cases a year in voter fraud. He said that. We have millions of cases a year in voter fraud. And one of the things that I love watching, probably even more than the debate, is the follow-up coverage, where you turn on CNN and you got Anderson Cooper and some other people on the left side, and Van Jones, who I'm really becoming a huge fan of. I really like that guy. And sitting in between Anderson Cooper and Van Jones, you have two Donald Trump supporters. One white male and one white bleached blonde hair female that she defended what Trump said about how we have millions of cases of voter frauds a year. Alex, what's your response to this? Do you know that we have millions of dead people who are registered to vote in 2016 in this election? What's your response to that?
Yeah, they probably just died. I mean, if that's the case, but I mean, millions is that's
well, here's the
there's
thing.
no way there's
there's
millions,
4
but-
million. There's 4 million registered voters for 2016. But your response was the response from the entire table, condescending times 5 from what you just did. Everybody just kind of looked at her with their mouths open and went, "Yeah, they're fucking dead." Nobody unregisters you to vote, right? You get taken off and your death certificate finally makes its way to the county or whatever, and that can take some time. But everybody's looked at their mouths open and just like, they're fucking dead. What the hell is wrong with you? It's just, that's what's more fun to me, is watching her and watching what's his campaign manager's name, just try to clean everything up that he said. But let's
the hoops they have to jump through.
Oh my God.
It is pretty funny.
Well, before we get off here, we need to hit on the number one deal. So Trump was asked, as we discussed last week, Trump is telling his supporters a few things. One of them is go to the polls or go to the voting booths and make sure nothing fishy is going on, whatever the fuck that means. And he's telling them two very important things, that they are winning. Trump is winning the election over Hillary Clinton, and he's telling them also that they're going to lose. And those three things are I think a deadly combination, honestly. And Mike Wallace asked him when he was on stage if he will accept the results of the election, and Trump said, well, here it is.
Sir, there is a tradition in this country. In fact, one of the prides of this country is the peaceful transition of power, and that no matter how hard fought a campaign is, that at the end of the campaign, that the loser concedes to the winner, not saying that you're necessarily going to be the loser or the winner, but that the loser concedes to the winner and that the country comes together in part for the good of the country. Are you saying you're not prepared now to commit to that principle?
What I'm saying is that I will tell you at the time. I'll keep you in suspense.
Well,
okay?
Chris, let me respond to that because that's horrifying.
Okay, now let's follow that up just to see if Trump has changed his mind the following day at one of his rallies. Listen to this.
I would like to promise and pledge to all of my voters and supporters and to all of the people of the United States that I will totally accept the results of this great and historic presidential election if I win.
So you have Trump on the debate stage first saying that he's going to keep everybody in suspense and he'll see what happens. And then the next day, he completely goes full-on 4-year-old and says, I will absolutely accept the results of this election if I win.
And what the fuck does keep everybody in suspense mean? I mean, like, what are you going to possibly do? Like, try to overthrow Obama right now as he sits as the sitting president if you lose? Like march to Washington and claim your rightful heir to the throne? It's just like you're going to lose, like there's no suspense.
I think he took the middle ground because if he says, yes, I will accept the Trump is trying to cause some shit. He's trying to go out with a bang. And I think he's also still trying to win, even though I think he also knows deep down it's not going to happen. But I think by taking the middle road there instead of the left or the right, if he says, I will accept the results of the election, he may keep some people that are Republican voters that are voting for him because he's a Republican nominee. But he's going to piss off fucking Jasper and Skeeter. He's going to make them really fucking mad. They're going to shit their flannel fucking underwear and they're going to get pissed. If he says yes, or if he says no, fuck those results, like he did the following day, he then stirs them up and instead of shitting, they spooge in their flannel underwear, assuming they wear underwear. I doubt they fucking wear underwear. And he will lose his traditional I'm voting for him because he's a Republican nominee people. So I think that's why he's playing it down.
He can't lose those people. He's already shown he can't lose those people. He can grab them by the pussy. He can.
Well, he's already laid his groundwork though. He's already told people that, he hopes people like you, pointing at his supporters, won't let this go by, won't let this happen. And that's basically, there's interviews with people that say that Hillary Clinton needs to be taken out. And when they're asked, what does that mean? They say it means whatever you want it to mean. There are those people because they are so convinced she's coming for your guns. She rigged this election on Trump. We all know. Go back a few episodes if you want to hear about the DNC rigging things. But Hillary Clinton and the DNC, there is no fucking way they can rig the general election. As Mike Pence said, it is at the state and county level and just the gravity in which you would have to have control over so many people and get them to keep their mouths shut. Rigging an election the way our general election is ran is just fucking, it's not possible. There's no way.
Yes. It's just, it's an excuse, but, we are running out of time, but, to end the show, I will bring up, his new venture. I'm not sure if you saw, right? So first at the debate, they had, Drain the Swamp hashtag. They had Trump TV cover the debate. So you could, instead of watching it on CNN or MSNBC, you could watch it on Trump TV. And then yesterday, I believe, they just announced that they're going to have a nightly news segment on Trump TV.
And wouldn't it be funny if this was all this whole campaign was actually for? Was to help that business?
I give credit to the Young Turks. They called it out, I think, a month or two ago, that he could be trying to build some kind of media thing because, he was on record as saying, how can I make money out of this?
Right.
So, maybe this was the master plan. He needs to have something because his traditional businesses are failing.
Right. And he has made money. Let's not forget, he has rented out his own spaces to his own campaign. He's made money during, but imagine what this is going to be. He knows now that, I think he truly does know that he's going to lose. And what does this allow him to do? Now he has his own news network, which is probably going to make Fox News look like MSNBC. And he gets to sit back, and every time something fucks up in Washington, and now he's made enemies of both parties. So no matter if Paul Ryan or the Turtle and the right fuck up, or if Hillary Clinton or Sanders or Warren and the left do something that people don't fucking like, he gets to sit back and say, I told you so, America, you had your shot. He comes out of this still looking good to the people that don't know better. So he has, by making Trump TV, I think he's playing his cards right.
Yeah, agreed. It's just horrible hand, but yeah.
The horrible, tiny hand. Anyway, we got to get going. But follow us on Twitter at AOR_podcast. Check us out on Facebook at the Age of Reason podcast page. And once again, we are continuously loading up a ton of content onto the Age of Reason website, AORpodcast.com. There's going to be some more updates coming this week, but we had quite a few people turn into our fact checker that we had running during the debate, so that went well, and we added a whole new political section. Anything that you guys can think of that you want us to post information about, if you guys have a question or anything of that nature, feel free to hit us up on our Contact Us page and let us know. But look for some more stuff to drop from the show coming up later this week. But with that, take care, everybody. We will see you next time.